speak.
Alright folks, we're going to get started momentarily, but we want all of you to be in all the pictures. So if you wouldn't mind, let's start crowding around and make kind of a semicircle around the podium, and we'll bring out the podium a little bit. Let's try not to block this side, and everyone should have a sign in their hand. So if you don't have one, you can come right here. So let's figure that out now.
Let's get some people to stand behind the table.
Hey, Glenn Thompson's here. Hey.
Yeah, I'm just sorry I had to bring him, but you know, he doesn't have much of a sign and stretch out a little bit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
We just make sure people know that he gets money from GEO.
Yep. GEO, that's the company that runs
the Moshannon Processing Center, and they
for-profit. They're funded by Citizens Bank.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we've been protesting that. Not the statewide at this point. I'm with the ones up in the Northeast, which is really everybody.
It's corporate, yeah. It's corporate.
And they are really.
Let's see, where can we place more people? Let's take a look at how that shot looks.
Paul, Libby. Paul, Libby, we have a spot for you.
And you guys can come kind of either in here or here.
Okay. Well,
sure. You're good. I can fix it. No, I did.
The Central Pennsylvania welcome.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
High and get excited. So let's do a rehearsal, all right? Let's do like a wave. 1, 2. You can do better than that, all right? 1, 2. One more time, then we'll do it for real. 1, louder. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Even the car honks were done. So great.
I don't think he's on our side.
Carlos, can you come up?
I'll cross you. She'll take pictures.
Well, good afternoon. Is it afternoon? Yes, it's afternoon. It's 12:05. Good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon to everyone watching on the news or on TV or on social media, wherever you may be. It's been 8 days since we last saw each other, and we saw each other on a different side of the state. Out on the ICE office on the south side at 3000 Sydney Street, with a crowd of about this size, and we took off on a hazy morning, not really knowing if we'd really get here, but we made it. 8 days and 130 miles. And I just kind of want to bring to the front the folks that walked every single day. Rosalind, do you want to come up? Rosalind walked every day with 50 pounds of gear and a bike. I also want to shout out Mary and Teresa walked so many days with us, as well as Carlos Ramirez, who walked so many days. I want to shout out our folks from Monroeville and Apollo and Indiana and the small towns of Coalport and St. Lawrence and Northern Cambria. Thank you to JJ. Thank you to our support team that followed us every step of the way, to Sarah and Becca, who every step had snacks, who were ready to tend to our bum knees or our sore feet. Community made this happen. Thank you to everyone who showed up early in the morning in Osceola Mills, and to everyone that's here right now, to everyone who's followed along, who has donated, who has shared the word, and who has decided to stand on the side of dignity. So I'm going to introduce some folks in a few minutes, but I want to set the scene. Today, we made an accomplishment. You know, we reached the end of what we wanted to do. And there's a certain joy in that. There's a joy of being here with all of you. But it is also sobering for us to recognize that just down that road, there are at least 1,000 people that cannot celebrate in the way that we do. Hundreds of people who don't have access to legal representation, who don't know when they're going to see their family next, who do not have the freedom to walk in the way that we just did. And our trajectory, our journey together, has been to center their experiences, the impact that has on their families, and to call attention to shut this facility down. And to start off, I'd like to introduce a few of our local residents of Clearfield and Jefferson, and I feel like I'm missing one more county, Elk County, who have been working on this advocacy, who have been showing up consistently, who have put up the billboards, and who have been organizing in the ways that are so necessary in these rural counties, that don't necessarily always attract a news camera, but that show up in defense of dignity. And they're going to tell you about the first-hand witness that detainees have in this facility of how ugly, how awful, how inhuman it is, and how important it is to stand up against it and take action. So let me bring them up. And give them a big round of applause, please.
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I'm here to speak the voices of the people inside Moshannon. Imagine that you are an immigrant who has just been transferred to Moshannon. Maybe you were transferred immediately after Maybe you were transferred after immediately being released from jail, or you were detained after responding to a message from ICE asking you to come into their office. First, you are handcuffed at your wrists and ankles, and then you're placed in the back of a van with no windows. On the way to Moshannon, you are joined by other people who were detained by ICE. You sit quietly next to each other on the benches of the van because you're scared and don't speak the same language. You find yourself being asked a lot of questions all at once in a language you might not understand. You still don't know where you are, so you ask the clerk, typing feverishly, and if you can call your family. They tell you that someone else will help you make a phone call once they're done processing you. But you later learn that they won't help you like they said they would. They ask you about your shirt, pants, and shoe size. Next, you're quickly stripped of all your personal belongings and clothes and given a standard jumpsuit. 119. This jumpsuit's color is based on how the staff that day decides what your supposed security level is from your past criminal record and suspected gang affiliation. You are assigned a number.
Hi, I'm Dawn, and I want to also put a voice to the people who are in the center. It's in my backyard, and it breaks my heart because these are not criminals. They are mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, just like you and I. They want to tuck their babies in bed at night. They want to feed them a healthy meal, put a roof over their head. That's all. There's such a small percentage that are criminals, such a small percentage. So I want to read to you a testimony from another mother who was in the detention center. I arrived at Moshannon after a 4-hour journey. We were cuffed and shackled the entire time, and we didn't know where we were going. They wouldn't even take off the cuffs to let us go to the bathroom. They took all of our belongings. They gave us their uniforms and a bagged lunch, the only food I had seen in 24 hours. And then they led us to the cells. It was a big room with 50 to 60 women, and they were all looking at us. As soon as the guards left, the women started asking me about the apple. Eventually, I came to see that there was an apple in my bagged lunch. And then I realized these women had not seen a piece of fruit, fresh fruit, the entire time they had been there. And some had been there for a year. I was able to cut the apple into tiny pieces and shared it around with everyone, but I couldn't bring myself to eat my piece.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I'm going to read a story too from one of the people who are at Moshannon. The guards yelled at us all the time. They yelled at a woman for having a Bible and a glass of water near her bed. They called us bitches, stupid immigrants, and worse. They intentionally gave instructions in English and wouldn't provide translations. But we stood by each other. For all the hate we experienced from the guards, the kindness we received from each other was the only thing that allowed us to survive. They became family. I'm still in touch with the women inside. They call me and tell me about the treatment they are experiencing, which seems to be getting worse. They recently told me about an incident when pepper spray was used on an entire group of them, and then many of them were put in solitary confinement. I'm not even sure why. Something about someone not ending her time on the tablet quickly enough. For that, they pepper sprayed the whole group and then put people into solitary confinement.
Folks, this is the sobering reality that we live in. Just down the street, these injustices are happening every single day. And sometimes they lead to death. There's been a death in this facility. There are deaths all over the country. All at the hands of our government. And for-profit private prison companies that are getting paid enormous amounts of money to keep people warehoused. Yep. I next want to introduce Carlos Mora. He's a community organizer with Erie County United, and he's joined us for a long time on this trip. His advocacy through the Northwest PA Rapid Response Network has been commendable, and they have 3 different cities that they cover in the northwest of Pennsylvania, collaborating with community organizations and churches and ordinary neighbors to stand up, protect our neighbors, and protect the rule of law. So I'm going to pass the mic over to him. Please give him a big round of applause.
I feel like I'm in the late night show. You know what I'm saying? When they Okay, everybody. My name is Carlos Mora. How are we doing today? All right, good. Yeah. So as Jaime said, I'm a community organizer. I'm an immigrant. I was born and raised in Colombia, and I moved here 10 years ago. Right now, I'm organizing my community, and we have a rapid response network in northwestern Pennsylvania. We have around 140 trained volunteers in 3 cities, in Erie, Edinburgh, and Meadville. And I was asked by Jaime to join him in this pilgrimage. Pilgrimage? That's how you say it? Yeah. As a way to showcase what many do all day, and they're silent. They do this involuntarily. They're taken from their homes. I would like to take this moment for all of us to sit in silence, and we're gonna hear the voices of everybody who has passed away in the past 14 months in different detention centers throughout the United States. These are neighbors, these are family members, these are teammates, co-workers, lovers, haters, you name it. But they were human beings. And they are no longer with us because of the inhumane treatment and the dehumanization campaign by the current policies. So I'm gonna start. Tuan Van Bui, José Guadalupe Ramos Solano, Roger Pérez Jiménez, Mohamed Nasir Patiloa, Behman Kashinas Najadafi, Emmanuel Clifford Damas, Alberto Gutiérrez Reyes, Jairo García Hernández, Lord Sim, Heber Sánchez Domínguez, Víctor Manuel Díaz, Paraday La, Luis Beltrán Llanes Cruz, Luis Gustavo Núñez Cáceres, Geraldo Lunas Campos, Nenko Stanev Kachnev, Delvin Francisco Rodríguez, Fuad Said Abdulkadir, Jean Wilson Brutus, Shiraz Patehali Chawani, Pete Sumalo Montejo, Francisco Gaspar Andrés, Kai Yin Wong, Gabriel García Áviles, Hassan Ali Moutsaleh, Leo Cruz Silva, Miguel Ángel García Hernández, Nurbian Chen, Norland Guzmán Fuentes, Ismael Ayala Uribe, Santos Reyes Vanegas, Oscar Duarte Rascón, Lorenzo Antonio Batres Vargas, Xiao Feng Ji, Tien Chuan Pan, Isidro Pérez, Johnny Novielo, Jesús Molina Bella, Abelardo Avellaneda Delgado, Mary Angie Blaze, Non Gok Nguyen, Brian Rayo Garzón, Juan Alexis Tineo Martínez, Maxmin Cherniak, Sarawit Gisagen Dijin, and last but not least, Henry Ruiz Gillen. May they rest in peace. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a moment, a journey of very difficult moments throughout the walk, but we have reminded ourselves that there is people who care. Yes. And that united will stand. And today we're 140, tomorrow will be 300. Yes. But what is right, and we'll be on the right side of history. So here is Jaime.
You know, folks, we live in tragedy. every day in this country, whether it be what lies beyond the hill, or whether it be the fact that there are people that sleep on our streets with no place to go, or whether it be that we are unjustly killing one another, or that people have a lack of access to health care, all of us are bound to one another. All of our problems are bound to one another. And what's been so incredible about this journey is that we've been able to strip away the noise and the anger of interactions that are seemingly political in nature at times. The controversy of yelling at someone and you yelling back and calling them names, it's all melted away. We've instead focused on calling our feet names from the pain. But what we've really done is reach out to ordinary neighbors and quite literally meet them where they are. Out in the rolling countryside of Indiana, having a farmer come to the front of his yard, say, "What are you guys doing? Why are you walking? How can you be so crazy as to walk?" And when we explain the premise of dignity, that we want people to treat each other as an end in themselves and not as a means to an end, which is so rare nowadays, that when we can have those kinds of conversations, we can treat a person within their full personhood. That then when we can find common ground through that lens, maybe we can find solutions for one another. Maybe we can understand one another. There are a lot of people that are fired up, that are ready to set the world on fire. And that's good energy, right? We want to be motivated to do things. But channel that anger into love. Channel that anger into purpose. Roll up your sleeves and start with the neighbor down the street. You know, today is Thomas Sunday in some traditions, or Divine Mercy Sunday. And if you know about St. Thomas, he's one of the apostles that didn't believe that Jesus had resurrected on Easter Sunday. And he had to physically put his finger through the holes and stick his finger up the wound in order to really believe. And I think it's fitting that we're here today on that Sunday, on that commemoration of that event. Because when have we doubted one another? When have we doubted our ability to get along, or to see eye to eye on anything, or to reach somebody? When have our neighbors doubted the truth of what happens in this facility? Or our ability to create an environment in this county, and in this state, and in this country, where we don't have to profit off of the dehumanization of one another? We have all been there. We have all experienced doubt. So how are we going to get people to touch the wound? How are we going to walk with one another, accompany one another? We end an 8-day journey today, but in reality, we are just getting started. This is the end of the first leg, and there will be many more legs after that. Shutting down this facility, comprehensive immigration reform, and more fundamentally, treating our neighbors the way we would want to be treated. Treating them with the dignity that they deserve. Recognizing that that dignity is unconditional. So let this be the first step. You've shown up, you've walked, you've learned from one another, you've interacted. Now what comes next? Reach out to the Clearfield County Commissioners. Tell them that this facility where they are taking your neighbors to after they are abducted from their homes and their workplaces should not stand. That Pennsylvania cannot tolerate this kind of treatment. That we are better than this, and that we are willing to come together to find a solution to keep jobs in this region, to keep people's food on the table without profiting off of dehumanization. And then beyond that, that, what are you going to do? How are you getting to know your neighbor? How are you de-escalating the polarization and the divides that we see? That is the hardest mission of all. That is the hardest journey that we are going to have to walk. Because every day is like playing whack-a-mole. Every 2 weeks it's another news story. Something horrible has happened over here, then over there, and there's one more reason to get stressed. But at the core of it all is that we do not respect each other's dignity. So how are you going to start? How are you going to be that beacon of light to one another? How are we going to stand in stark contrast to companies like the Geo Group, to places like Moshannon Valley Detention Center? How are we going to be fired up at our hyper-local level to make a difference? That is how I want to send you off. I want to send you off with a buen camino, which means have a good journey, have a safe journey. And all of us are now neighbors. We come from many different counties across the state. I've heard Center, Union County, Elk County, Allegheny County, Erie County. Huntington County. That's right. Washington County. Shout them out. Where else? Center County. Jefferson, Beaver, Butler, Cambria, Armstrong, Indiana. And we're just going to get started. We're going to go into every crevice of our country, every crevice of our state, of our commonwealth, and we are going to preach this good news to them. The good news that we recognize them as people, and they should recognize everyone as people too. That is our mission, and we are going to come back double, triple, quadruple. I don't know what comes after that. Quintuple. There you go. But thank you. You know, to fully close, one of our walkers bought a candle. And it's funny, I was trying to get some social media content, and I said, tell me about this candle. And she tells me that her friend gave it to her because she's a light in her life. And so she thought it would be a good idea to use it as a flashlight, because she didn't have a flashlight, right? To illuminate the dark. And luckily, we had more than enough flashlights to share if it ever got dark and we didn't have to use the candle. But, the point still stands. As we leave, how are we going to be that light to one another? How are we going to dispel doubt? And how are we going to get people into the fold with us? Relentless pursuit. So thank you for supporting Frontline Dignity. We, by the end of the day, will have $50,000 raised since the start of this. And it's just the start. And we'll keep seeing you on the front lines of the defense of dignity. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you too, yep.
Gonna make a change.